Okay, in this video we're going to look at user groups in sport. So this is part of learning objective 1, and look at barriers to why people don't participate in sport. So what I've got here is a couple of images. User groups are identified as groups of people in different categories that will be targeted by a leisure centre or sports complex to try and get them to do physical activity, be it sport or exercise. So they put them in 8 or 9 categories. So you've got ethnic minorities, children, so anyone below the age of sort of 12 and below, teenagers from 13 to 19, families, the disabled, single parents, unemployed, and the retired or OAPs. And so when we're looking at user groups here, where we're looking at user groups, okay, it's about how they can target those groups to get them into physical activity. And then each group might have a barrier to why they don't do exercise, and or how can a sports centre change their timetables to include different user groups. So one of the main barriers for most people is time. Okay. Second one might be family commitments, financial or lack of income, and accessibility and transport, so ramps, transport living in a rural location, and lack of role models. So they're generally your 5 or 6 main barriers to participation. So time. Why is time a barrier? For the full-time working parent who might work 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, a lack of time throughout the day will be a barrier to stop them doing a sport. Just recapping what a barrier means. So a barrier is something that will stop them to do physical activity. So it's really important that we understand that word barrier. Okay, so time for particularly working parents, families, so people with a lack of time, that could be an excuse, but is a barrier to participating in exercise. And then we've got working families, so single parents or a family, okay, might have difficulty accessing PE or physical activity or exercise because when they're either at work or they're looking after their children, and there's things that go on behind the background, cooking, cleaning, preparation. Obviously it's a big commitment having a family and children, so therefore that could be a barrier to stop them doing exercise, which links in with time, okay, because the lack of time due to having a family to look after. Third one we've got is finance or money, so lack of income. So you looked earlier, particular user group there might be the unemployed. So that would be a barrier because a lot of provisions, a lot of sports complexes, a lot of exercise classes require money. Most sports or fitness centres for an adult, you're looking at anything between £60 to £80 for a wide membership. What's been good at current is the new 24-hour gyms that only cost like £15 is a barrier that they're trying to overcome, but we'll talk about that in a later video. So lack of income, unemployed, or earning a low income, so not being able to access physical education, be it in a sports complex or exercise in a fitness centre. So we're looking now at facilities, okay, and the accessibility, okay. So lack of facilities around their area. So for example here, living in a rural location, rural meaning out in maybe in a village or a sort of small town or out in the country. So there might not be, it's not a place that you're going to build a sports complex there. And then lack of accessibility, particularly for maybe the disabled or elderly. Back in the previous slide we looked at retired and OAPs, so old age pensioners, and people in wheelchairs, is making sure that the sports complexes, the fitness centres have the correct access for them to get in and out the building. And the final one is lack of role models within that sport, so be it female role models, it might be a lack of ethnic minorities in the sport. So again, the more positive role models you have, it will boost that sport. But a barrier here we're looking at is the lack of role models. Might affect them doing the sport, so that might be another barrier.